I'm a man who believed that I died 20 years ago, and I live like a man who is dead already. I have no fear whatsoever of anybody or anything.
Gary Webb. I am an investigative journalist, and in 1996 I wrote a series of stories entitled Dark Alliance, which was about CIA involvement in drug trafficking.
I knew a man who once said death smiles at us all. All a man can do is smile back.
We've both been skull and bone with the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go on.
I'm sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the rest.
Number 322.
I sad duty to report this afternoon that my friend and colleague, Tim Russert, collapsed and died early this afternoon.
I may die in this cell tonight or in the arena tomorrow. I am a slave. What possible difference can I make?
And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know.
What the fuck is up? Welcome to another Already Dead, me and Austin's weekly live call-in show. A little bit of conspiracy, a little bit of parapolitics. That's where we reside. Jules, when are you going to figure this out? You got to go to custom layout too. This isn't, here we go. Custom layout too. Yeah, here you go. Now you're still with us. Say hi to everybody. Now you're still with us. There you go. Okay, well you got some weird audio all of a sudden. That's weird. But all right, we got a great bit, or Jules back there, being a grapist on the 1 and 2s or whatever the hell it is he does back there. We'll have a new intermission for you guys. I think we're trying out a sort of new video editor because we lost our other guy. The other one murdered a guy. It's not a laughing matter. I really miss him.
I know, right? It's terrible.
Yeah, it is. I'm laughing, but it's because I don't want to cry.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah. So we'll try out our new video editor. We'll see how it goes. Maybe I have some other offers too, so we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I'm not offering a ton of money, so it is what it is. But me and Austin, I don't even know where the hell we were. I don't think we were in commencing World War III last time we talked. But I've done I don't know how many shows since then. Responded to rape allegations. The gangs broke up.
God, I forgot.
Like everything, and like World War III. Yeah, I got accused of rape by Richard Booth. The gang broke up. We have World War III. I feel like there was another one in there I'm forgetting. Something major.
Man, I was. I just.
Oh yeah, then the editor too. I'm sorry. It's just then Tim. Sorry, go on.
No, you're good, buddy. I'm just seeing like limitless recycled Iraq war propaganda.
Oh, dude.
Oh,
this is it. I mean, yeah, basically.
Dude, it's extraordinary, man. And it feels like I'm in this mindset like if you're loyal to a politician, you've lost the plot a long time ago.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like it's as simple as just understanding that the way the current system is structured, no one is coming to save you. You have to be almost entirely compromised to achieve any real level of success in politics, and especially in this current system. And
I mean, it's a shell game. It's a game for fools. It's like, when you walk by and you see those games they play on some side streets, and you're like, oh, what's that? That's cool. That's like, but that's a scam. That's what this is. That's what all this is. It's voting. It's all just a scam to get you to waste your fucking time, and it's psychic vampire shit. I think this it's almost been this necessary thing to like kind of this was like, I think for a lot of people, the last like hurrah of maybe voting could work, but it's like, dude, it's not going to work. You're working against yourself. I mean, they're always going to find a way to take that energy and use it against you. Like from a psychic vampire perspective, they took this mandate and then they used it for Iran. And now they've used up all their psychic energy once they use this Iran plan. And now, ironically, all you MAGA bros that have certain domestic goals, let's say even if it is something like a Doge or something, you've used up all of your psychic energy. All of that energy you got from the voters, your coalition will be destroyed, and you will cede power back to the left. The AOCs of the world will rule the near future. That is what we will see. And honestly, I think we're going to see AOCs that are like funny and based, and like we're going to get like Tim Dillon's essentially is going to be the vibe, I think. Like that sort of thing. Tim Dillon's, Jim Dore's. I mean, given that they're deciding, hey, we're going to do Iran, you can just go ahead and give up this right-wing dominated political landscape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think that obviously regime change is the current option that they're attempting to obviously pursue. And I think that, it really does seem like that's been in the cards for quite some time at this point, and that much of the negotiations that were just conducted were entirely in bad faith and smoke and mirrors and sort of just to at least placate certain individuals in the base. Although I will say I do feel optimistic about the reaction in many ways, as far as just like, but honestly, I don't know how much of that is because I'm sort of insulated in this like-minded algorithm thought bubble that that maybe I'm just not seeing as much, although obviously there's clearly the Zionist propaganda oversaturating the landscape, but at the very same time, it's like, I don't know. It seems like clearly the overwhelming sentiment is no war with Iran. We don't want, intervention or especially direct conflict with the U.S. Effectively dropping bombs on Tehran, which is, let alone a potential U.S. troop boots on the ground involvement, which is already being called for clearly by the usual suspects like closeted homosexual, childless Zionist Lindsey Graham,
J.D. Vance. I mean,
right, yeah. Right. But it is like when you have no skin in the game, there are no real consequences and all of your special interests rely on the military-industrial complex, and I mean, you also clearly you're just morally, compromised, right? at a level to where,
dude,
yeah.
Did you see my tweet that went, I guess, I don't know if I'd say was viral, but it did very well.
Oh, yeah.
And it was, so I guess to add to the other amount of crazy things. And then I had a tweet, to go into the thousands that was calling Donald Trump a pedophile. So that's where we're at. I think the world goes, oh yeah, you're onto something. I said, what did I say? I said, I'm pretty sure he fucked a bunch of kids. And that was basically what I said. Something like that.
You fuck kids, Donald.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sorry, but when your mentor is Roy Cohn, and every single, it wasn't just like he was, I don't know, like it was some sort of tangential connection to the Epstein scandal and the black book and the contact numbers. Like, Trump was deeply involved, right, with the Epstein network at a level to where, of course, he would be tasked with the ultimate cover-up. So as far as like what sexual blackmail they have on him, I don't know. He's grabbing Bill Clinton's dick on the golf course. So it's like, how much is there, it's like when you're at that level, especially of being a political puppet, because in every way, each president's legacy becomes tarnished. It's just the reality of, no matter who you vote for, right? What do we get?
Yeah. Well, there's this line from this movie called Luther that it always sticks in my mind. And it was this character who was like the serial killer who utilized like blackmail to control people. To be able to like pull off his kills, and like one of the people who like turned, it ended up being someone like within like their like investigation group or whatever at one dramatic point in the movie, and they're like, "What do they got on you?" And it was like, and he said some line, you'd be surprised how little it is type deal, because it is like, because that's the thing. Like I know we all Trump fucked a bunch of kids and like but it's like, it really could just be something simple. Don't get me wrong. This is a guy that's like fucks porn stars and it's kind of like well known. So it'd probably have to be something slightly worse than that. But it might not even have to be that bad, because the thing is how it starts. It's like what we're told with little kids, even in church. Like it all starts with a little lie, And it's really as simple as that, because it could be just as simple as infidelity. I don't think you could get blackmail Trump with something that's infidelity, but even like a normal guy like in the world, you could probably get a lot of people with infidelity and just be willing to get them to do a lot of things just to keep that from spreading around, or just even just minor things,
though.
you know?
I think this is a generational compromise as far as like, I don't think this is anything new. I don't think this began with Trump. I think he's in a lineage of individuals who are among this network of these sort of aristocratic, very much. It seems like they belong to the cabal of the fraternal organizations that clearly run global society, and that's why I, in no way am I under some, false impression that Trump was going to come in and all of a sudden become something that he didn't already prove himself to be, which is an out-and-out Zionist, obviously, right? On the take for any and every sort of Israeli agenda out there to pursue as well, and that's not just with the marriage of like Jared Kushner into the family and things of that nature, but obviously you have which I've discussed many times in terms of his connections to Robert Maxwell, like going on his yacht in the 80s and right, discussing measuring the size of their yachts, and my YouTube got nuked for real.
Wait, I was waiting for a second. I was just looking at that. I was like, I'm pretty sure it did. It says 0 in here.
Dude. I hope that I can just,
probably the intro again.
Yeah, it's got to be. I hope so. But I know
if it's the intro, they'll immediately
this video has been removed for violating YouTube's community guidelines. Motherfucker.
It's probably just the fucking intro. You can probably appeal it and then it'll probably throw it out. It does that for me a lot. But it is gay. It's super annoying. Or it's even funnier when they do the for self-harm because of the name of the show. I've gone that like probably 2 or 3 times now.
I've got that a couple times too.
Wow. Well, real, everyone who was watching on Austin's YouTube, come over to Jose's.
Come on.
Well, we also got Rumble. Don't forget, we got Rumble. So, silly little things like this are all the more of a reminder to follow the people you like over on alternate platforms like Rumble. Rumble. So you can leave Rumble rants there. Austin is monetized on YouTube, so you can leave him super chats, but we'll see how long that lasts for.
Not when the video gets fucking, shut it down.
Yeah, I think I was already. I hope that after I appealed the last one, I'm not still in that window of time. I'm concerned about that, but.
Oh shit, that's gay. Okay, yeah, it is. Yeah, it's YouTube creator problems. It is
right.
I mean, the flip side is though, like whenever you go through that period, so you can't post on YouTube, and it's like whatever. And it's just I'm straight Rumble right now, so that just means you're boosting your Rumble and your other platforms, your audio, all that. So whatever. Hey, each time it's just YouTube shoot themselves in the foot. So whatever, just making us less dependent on it. So all the more reason to. All right. Okay. Where do we go with this? We kind of got sidetracked with the nukings.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I just think that when you have Blackstone, BlackRock, they're all attached to this sort of like these, various billionaires that clearly are implicated in sort of like, in my mind, steering much of the permanent establishment's agenda, especially in the private sector internationally, which is how they sort of like, right, what do you think Davos is? I mean, it's the most influential people on earth coming together to decide our fate effectively is what truly is taking place. But when you have like Wilbur Ross, effectively just like, by the way, advisor for all of the Rothschilds investments, and he's directly involved with bailing out Donald Trump during that time, where he's a casino magnate, and they claimed that obviously the Trump name added value to the casino, so he was better off alive than dead to them personally, as far as their personal interests. Now, it's just like, why would we at all question that this individual is potentially compromised by the very people, by the very generational dynastic families who have clearly been insulated from accountability and completely destroyed? Well, I mean, I at this moment, I don't believe in the American dream inherently, because I think it was honestly a lie to begin with. But still, at this point, it's like, this is the level of deception. These are the layers that we have to sort of like, pry back and descend down these rabbit holes, or else we will not be able to see clearly in the moment of crisis. And that's what they're betting on. So they don't want us to understand that Donald Trump was entirely implicated and involved with Royal Casino International and was clearly embedded with the kosher mob, the kosher mafia. And basically you have Roy Cohn, we've discussed this too often, how he's entirely, his business was human compromise and sexual blackmail. I mean, he's acquiring little boys from the Son of Sam network and the Process Church affiliation and right, as far as like these extravagant parties that very much, mirror that of the Pink Ballets, right? But anyway, that's just like, I can't help but bringing it up every time it comes down to like, is Trump acting in good faith? No, he's never been. I mean, he's essentially, he was just a very influential figure who was extremely like, as far as just like a genius and brilliant in his branding abilities and things of that nature. But other than that, I mean, he was essentially just put on the path, right, by these puppet masters. And so I think that once we are under this, accurate interpretation of what Trump's true interests are, he's up for sale. He has been from day one. I mean, you know what I mean? It's in no way was America First new branding. This was just, he's piggybacking off of this historical narrative that
it's been used multiple times by both parties, I think, is what so I forget which ones, but I mean, who used it, but it's been used by both parties in antiquity for sure. Yeah.
Right.
By the way, I thought it'd be interesting we talked a little bit before the show, kind of maybe about a possible nuclear component, and I find this particularly interesting. We covered this in the morning show, but I wanted to show you this. Pay attention to the countries you see here, and then I guess also the order. Destruction of United States, China, UK. I mean, obviously I'm losing it after that point. But the second being China. And then obviously they will, I don't know, this is kind of predictable. Herder, if you don't stop, this is from the IDF. Like, if we don't stop them. But obviously the you're next, knowing what we know, that's a little bit ominous. And then the second being China. Here's our boy, Hot Star here for pointing out, he's saying, given China is actively supplying Iran with military equipment and have publicly denounced the Israeli attack on Iran, Israel have now literally threatened China with destruction. It is not veiled. There is no interpretation in which Iran would ever destroy China, their current ally. So we have what looks like, to me, I don't really know how you would interpret that. I mean, I don't know. That seems like a very subtle yet overt, like, hey, because otherwise, why would they be included? That makes no sense. There's no rational sense why China would be the second name there. As he points out, they are the allies of allies. But if you are looking at like who would be, targets for them in a Samson sort of option, perhaps something there.
So which nation posted this? Was this the IDF you said?
The IDF. This if you don't stop them, you're next. You can see this video. Okay. It's just kind of predictable.
Makes sense to me because
had a plan named and
sorry,
aimed.
go ahead.
No, you're good. I'm just like remember I just brought up, right? The new Silk Road, basically the Belt and Road Initiative, right? That China is pursuing with Iran, and how they had just struck this deal, effectively bypassing, UN sanctions, or the U.S. and UN sanctions from the West, right? Which really bypasses U.S. control, and this is an issue. And by the way, this is crazy stuff, man. Like, I pulled this up just because it reinforces, and it's very recent. It reinforces what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz, and essentially China and Iran, right, launched sanctions busting this rail route. So it's interesting because this is the first cargo train from China to arrive at Iran, and it's essentially, again, this is a new corridor, right, that shortens the delivery times. This is all effectively like, it falls into place in terms of international oil markets and the oil industry and oil manufacturing in Iran as well, which is why Israel is strategically targeting in this very moment. They're targeting Iranian manufacturing plants where they're where it's basically they're targeting their oil manufacturing facilities, which is it's basically targeting their oil exports capabilities, right? And that's truly what is top of mind in many ways, because just as far as the geopolitical conflict playing out here. And again, this is exactly what's happening in terms of the new sort of agreement with China, who's been and Iran, who have effectively been driven into the arms of China, just as sort of, Russia obviously kicked off of the SWIFT economic system, can't do business on the world stage. This is a strategic goal when you're as far as you're in these international conflicts. And here's another thing that's like very worthy of mentioning in terms of this exact reference point, because it's interesting to me which Iranian oil and gas facilities were hit by Israel. And because again, it's exactly that. It targets their export, ability to effectively export their oil. And the Hormuz Strait, the Strait of Hormuz, is specifically vital to this. And I didn't
30% of the world's oil goes to there.
Yeah, it's fascinating, honestly.
Yeah.
And the closure of the strait, which guess what? Iran, the first thing they did was leverage this to their benefit. We're going to effectively blockade the Strait of Hormuz, and you'll have to just deal with the consequences. And what happened? That's exactly when the green light was given. I think Trump basically, as much as I don't think he individually, I don't know how much they're involved in the negotiations. That's where it's difficult to interpret for yourself. Like, I know that.
Well, that's the crossroads right here. It's like, and both options aren't good, because there's two broad narratives, and I think you can probably maybe understand maybe some combination thereof. But based on the statements of the powers that be, it looks like the only real two acceptable narratives here is either the Trump administration was genuinely in good faith pursuing some sort of peace talks or some sort of nuclear deal or something, and it got completely decimated by Israel when they came in there. And likely there was probably some level of warning. I don't know. The idea would be then like maybe day two, something like that. I mean, obviously, like they probably knew, but it would still be the idea of that your talks got fucked up, even though you were like, I don't want this, and you basically got your ally fucked you, basically. But the other option is they work together, and that's honestly worse. So either way, you're a bitch or like literally such a level of scumbag that other politicians shouldn't be willing to politician with you. Like, that's how much of a level you have shown your hand to such a crazy degree that even publicly, even knowing that this is going to be a public thing that the entire world will know, you will act in the most dishonorable way possible. Like, I understand that like politicians will lie and stuff and it's behind closed doors, but it's usually like there's a deception here. Like, this was like, so like, if that is the case and we find out, but it's so over the top that is just no one could ever meaningfully ever interact with you again. And it just kind of more contributes to the idea that we're going to go down as possibly a pariah state along with Israel, except for the difference is we're not going to get anything out of it, as opposed to Israel getting shit out of it.
Right. And I think when you consider like, the multipolar world order, right, which is what I've been seeing it referenced as, which I think is very interesting, especially if you consider like this is allegedly like what the intention is to effectively make global society the underclass, the peasant class. Essentially, this will effectively, very much sort of bring the American people down a peg economically. And as far as like, we will no longer be, the supreme leader of the global infrastructure, and as far as just like how very much, obviously, I would say the vast majority of the world is downstream from American politics at this moment, right? We're very hegemonic in more ways than one. And that's when you see like the global death cult, as William Ramsey refers to it so often. as like
Israel?
the perfect right. But I think that's where like people don't realize, like that's why I've believed from day one that Israel has really just been utilized as a tool for the global infrastructure for this global death cult. So we can, and in the end, guess who will take the fall? You'll have political puppets fall to the wayside, and maybe even you have some legitimate real consequences for the people and the state of Israel itself. But I will say that for the most part, I would just imagine that they will accomplish their goals here, which honestly fall perfectly in line with the goals of Agenda 2030, the Great Reset, right? These principles from the report from Iron Mountain, and like just like these dystopian contexts of the totalitarian wet dream. It's like it's definitely what I think is happening. And when you see like I saw it explain that like Trump essentially that during these negotiations he gave, so I think the international finance and the global oil industry play a much more of a prominent role in this than is being acknowledged on the world stage, especially by the media, and just in terms of the conflict in general. And so Trump apparently he gave a 60 days, right? That's during these negotiations. He basically gave Iran 60 days to bend the knee, submit to the West, break from China, and this is the alleged, right? This is what we're intended to believe at that next layer of sort of interpreting the foreign policy, which is where it becomes difficult, because I do very much believe that in many ways, you kind of have like these sort of like they are controlled opposition in many ways, as far as the leadership of these of just the leadership involved in the international conflicts in many ways seem to be controlled opposition at times, and I can't quite decide if they are.
That was my little speech this morning when I went to Detroit stuff, and then also kind of tying into how IQs, like when you have that question of why, and you just can't answer it, why, that sneaking question in the back of your head, why would they act this way? Nothing about, his past, claims of what he believes, the incentives that are in place, none of that. Why? And it is that sneaking, like, because I don't know, these people fuck kids.
Yeah.
Like, and it's simple. Right. I mean, obviously that's a simplistic, childish way, but obviously there's a range of, hell, it was in the 80s, 70s, and before it was, that's why we always joke whenever, like in our Watergate series, the joke is like, look at all these gay people. And you're like, yeah, it's like, and that's not necessarily saying any particular thing about gays. It was just that during that period of time, that was something that could easily be leveraged against you as a means of control. So, I mean, it is, but we're now gays normalized, and so
right,
things get a little bit more dodgy.
For sure. And but you see these last night there were like fires erupted. These oil tankers were like on fire, ablaze in the Strait of Hormuz. So it's already happening where there's strategically striking this location, and I just think that as far as just like individual oil tankers, they're attempting to obviously hinder and cripple the ability of the Iranians to effectively export this oil. And so listen to this. It's very brief. It's like 1 minute. It's probably going to be an ad though. Son of a bitch. All right, here we go. But yeah, the point being though, here is
for like 30 seconds.
For 30 seconds, it'll be fine. But yeah, so they are obviously considering closing this, and that's why I think you have this sort of interesting play with China that's, as far as just it's not being acknowledged wotsoever, but we already saw this sort of pivot to China in terms of escalation with you just had Hegseth, right? He goes and he's discussing basically how China's this imminent threat on the world stage.
Talking
this
tough
just
about China,
happened. Yeah, and the UK, I think it was the one of the representatives for the Ministry of Defense or something to that effect, or it might have even been intelligence. I can't remember now. I had the clip pulled last week, but I felt like it was important because it seemed like this pivot was taking place, and it was in terms of this relationship with Iran as well, because it did seem like
real quick on the USS Nimitz. I'm pretty.
I was going to say,
I've heard
it's
people
crazy.
mentioning that's like a year. Real quick, that's a year out from being decommissioned, I believe, is what the deal is with it. Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy. And it's a
But
50-year-old
aren't they,
aircraft
like-
carrier.
I thought they had an order to like send it over there.
It was
because there's a lot of people saying that that's going to be the false flag that pulls us into the war, like kind of like a USS Liberty.
Well,
yeah, or just a Gulf of Tonkin type of situation, right?
Yeah,
for sure. But and by the way, there was a really interesting article that I pulled up from this this former. I think he was a State Department official. He might have been CIA. I think it was Ray McGovern, actually. So he could have been CIA. But either way, it's very interesting. But anyway, hold on. This bullshit probably already played. Yeah, it totally did, dude.
Now it's going to play the ad again. Watch.
I missed it.
Watch. It's going to do the ad again. It's going to do the ad again.
Oh, you son of a bitch, dude! All right, we have to actually watch the ad play.
All right, now we're gonna vamp while also watching. Now we gotta fucking
for real. All right,
all right. Why don't you look at it real quick and on your screen, and I'll bring this up real quick. Oh, you got it? It's working now.
Yeah, it's finally playing.
There you go. Okay, it wasn't.
Iran's Revolutionary Guard commander said closing the Strait of Hormuz is under consideration in response to Israeli attacks. But what could this mean for Europe? The Strait of Hormuz is one of the most strategically vital choke points in the world, and any blockade by Iran would pose serious risks for Europe. Roughly 20% of global oil and a significant portion of natural gas pass through the strait. If Iran blocks it, global oil prices would spike and Europe could face energy shortages. A sudden oil price surge would increase inflation, energy costs, and disrupt industries across Europe. Manufacturing, transport, and agriculture would be especially vulnerable. Beyond oil, the strait is a key route for global shipping. Disruption could delay European imports of raw materials. A blockade could also trigger military confrontations involving US or EU navies, risking a broader regional war.
Yeah. I think that's a major factor here. That again, it's like it's not getting much coverage whatsoever. But
I think,
oh, you son of a bitch. But yeah, definitely.
I do think one thing to be concerned about that I was heavily implying at a little bit with the China thing is perhaps nuclear, and I think we kind of got at it a little bit. Like it seems like regime change is the move here. But it does seem like I don't see boots on the ground happening because that would take at least a year to probably mobilize. And I just also, as we were talking before the show, I think there's a distinct the propaganda game just is not in the same place it was before. So while they are able to currently flagrantly do things that are clearly against like what the voters wanted to a ridiculous degree, I don't think that some sort of a sustained campaign like that would be doable. So like over years. So they wouldn't be able to roll out a propaganda campaign that was completely floundering. Now, if what they're doing right now, which is a short period of time where it is floundering, they're able to fake like it's not, while all of us out there are ratioing, the anti-Zionist voice or ratioing every fucking Zionist voice over and over again. It's still they're able to pretend like, oh, that's just fake. But you can't do that for a long period of time. So it is kind of like, are we going to see nuclear stuff? I don't know if you saw the Huckabee letter, but that one freaked me the fuck out. And there's a lot of other things that are kind of seem to be.
Well, it's worse than that, brother.
I could see Israel, the way they come out as a nuclear nation, is with a nuke. And it's like, what are you going to do now, bitch? That's totally how they would do it. Yeah,
for sure. There was that was just the funniest video ever, right? As far as like Netanyahu saying America first.
Old Netanyahu.
Yeah, Netanyahu. Yeah, but I understand America first. I don't understand America dead. But the way that he put it in context, it's interesting. And obviously they're following the sort of Christian Zionist line in terms of how they kind of just exploit the weak-minded. And as far as Americans who are obviously falling into the trap of supporting a conflict such as this, they tend to inevitably side with Israel on at every chance they get, clearly. But what is crazy is this language, right? That happened just before the meeting that Trump had earlier, right? Where he sits down with his national security advisors and for a couple hours and they discussed where they are now considering obviously bombing Tehran directly, and it could be even worse than that because again we're directly and by the way, I think it was 90% civilian casualties as far as Israel's attacks in Tehran. So that is worthwhile in mentioning as well. Hundreds of dead, right? And but anyway, I mean, it has to be just extraordinary to live in any of these areas. But this kind of language is how you have like, and what is the surprise that I know Iran's carrying out a lot of different strikes right now at this moment. But I am interested to know, like, what are the actual, what's this alleged surprise? And it does make me feel as if Iranian leadership could somehow be just sort of playing their role. But also, I mean, obviously, this will not end well and as far as the escalation and regime change is concerned. But listen to this.
Breaking news. The president very, very active on his Truth Social this hour. That's because, according to Axios is reporting, President Trump will meet with his national security team in the White House Situation Room at 1 p.m. Eastern today to make decisions about U.S. policy toward the war between Israel and Iran. 3 U.S. officials have told Axios, and this is key, why this matters. The U.S. official said Trump is seriously considering joining the war and launching a U.S. strike against Iran's nuclear facilities, especially its underground uranium enrichment facility in Fordow. It is built into a mountain. They cannot get to it without our bunker-busting weapon. They need it, and they'll need our breaking news.
Just that language, and then combine that with this I also found very interesting because it looks like, obviously, it looks exactly like the Colin Powell presentation. Did you see this? As far as this secret nuclear site, nuclear enrichment site that Iran has. That
they have a crayon doodle showing
Dude,
nuclear.
it's so funny.
Exclusive satellite images revealing the location of a previously unknown Iranian nuclear site. Now, the facility spans nearly 2,500 acres. And this is a big discovery. Jillian Turner has more from the State Department. Good morning, Jillian.
Pretty explosive, Dana. These satellite images that we have obtained exclusively show the alleged site location and even the layout of the secret, previously unknown nuclear weapons facilities inside Iran. This, of course, raises fresh concerns about the regime's role in these ongoing nuclear talks with the Trump administration. The National Council of Resistance of Iran has collected intelligence from sources on the ground inside Iran that locate this nuclear weapons facility in what is called Semnan province, far from the regime's already known nuclear sites. It's codenamed the Rainbow Site by Iran's officials, and it spans nearly 2,500 acres. It's been operating as far as we can discern.
Anyway, I think it's at least noteworthy, obviously, and especially just the language of the mainstream media in these moments, as well as obviously having people on like Lindsey Graham and talking about U.S. boots on the ground, you know, clearly, and what else did he say? He said he's basically. I do think that there will be regime change, no doubt. I mean, in my mind, right?
You're probably right. That's kind of what I was getting at the nuke. Like, I think I think time is of the essence here. I think they're trying to get it done quick. I think we're going to see a quick if this does drag on. So the best thing we can do, I think, is be gum in the works and hope that maybe somehow something falls through, and then it gets to oh no, now we need a propaganda campaign for boots on the ground so we can finish this job, and we say fuck you, eat a dick, and we just dominate that game. I don't know how that plays out at that point. But either way, I mean, I don't know, man. This is not a great situation all in all. But at least we have CIA assets on our side here. So we have Tucker Carlson. Sean Ryan. Hey, props to him. What? I'll take it. Fuck it. I mean, I'm still gonna be like, he's probably CIA, but like, thanks for chipping in here, bud.
Definitely. This is where they gain credibility and insulate themselves, right? And make us question what their true intentions are. I guarantee you they will spin it in the direction of the permanent establishment one way or the other, and the intelligence apparatus will benefit, right?
I will say on Tucker's count with that, like, okay, sure. Yeah. I've been waiting for it, but it's just like, that's the weird thing about Tucker, because we always point out, like, look at his dad, look at his weird, stuff in South America in his college years, and just all sorts of stuff that kind of glows about the guy. But it's like, at the end of the day, like, there haven't been any pivots ever since he supposedly has become this man of the people and changed his perspective. I haven't seen the pivots yet, so who fucking knows? It's hard to know a man's heart. At the end of the day, all we can say is, hey, he's on the right side of history right now. Maybe later he'll completely pull a right turn and go do some Fed shit. But till then, whatever. Well, fucking, you're crushing, doggy, and keep on doing it. So
we have to take it as far as when we get it in terms of like, okay, they're right on this one thing, on this one subject. They're clearly on this one policy. They're actually taking, some sort of position that is worthwhile. So in that moment, whether, that doesn't mean you trust them. Right. Yeah. We have to always remember that. But beyond that, I just think like, man, you have Israeli officials that are legitimately coming out and saying that that this war with Iran is premised on the idea of U.S. involvement. Right. Like that is that's concerning. And you see what is this? Is he had Ted Cruz on? Is that what happened? Tucker?
Yeah. So I have a couple clips. I figured we'd watch this clip and then maybe play intermission, go into it, and then maybe start off the call in with the next clip, because there's apparently he's teasing that he's got a Ted one. It looks like the clips I've seen so far are him. Looks like Tucker brought on Ted Cruz to make an example of him. So it'd be interesting to watch. It should drop tomorrow, I think.
Operation Rising Lion, right? Is the name of this. And it was like the Cradle, I think, that published an article talking about how this was like an 8-month prepared attack, right? That was like
up until that like drone shit and everything. Yeah, like that whole drone thing they had there. What was it? I think it was supposedly there for years or something. I forget.
25 nuclear scientists. Right, like all these targeted assassinations, car bombs, like over 5 car bombs or something, effectively were utilized as like targeted assassinations, and that's straight up.
It's IRA shit, dog.
Out of the playbook of ISIS, which is just like why I saw every single person.
Old school terrorism, dude.
Everyone just reminding us that Israel is ISIS, which is like, well, I think like. So much of this is joint intelligence operations, which lay the groundwork for this sort of, post-World War II Gladio network that we really just should start calling it that. Honestly, at this point, they entrenched themselves, man, and they're fully insulated from accountability. Man, it doesn't matter which side of the aisle gains political, office and is allegedly holding the levers of power. Man, we're on the same path toward the identical agenda. And what it's like, I don't know, I have people trying to make the argument that we would be better off with Kamala because there would be more sort of like, there maybe would have been more.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible.
I think it'd either be roughly the same. The differences, I think, are negligible. I think is the point. Is my point. It's that's whatever.
Exactly what I was trying to. Yeah, that was exactly what I was alluding to. Is just like there's no difference in my mind, because inevitably we land in a very similar position, and we're always pursuing identical objectives. And so clearly, the culture war, I think. There's diabolical deception, man, that's being leveraged against us at every level of this. And that is why would they not try and remain where, as far as like, wouldn't you want assets at every level of the media landscape? Maybe you would even want to, have these individuals sort of like gain their, as I was mentioning before, sort of like attempt to gain credibility over time. Right, by sort of positioning yourself with these alternative theories on a lot of these things that clearly make much more sense and land far more in the objective line of truth, right? And that's where all of a sudden you gain credibility and trust from individuals like ourselves. And wouldn't you want to, at the very least, send in assets to infiltrate those areas of just even those avenues of thought, right, to attempt to sort of like derail, misdirect individuals in the landscape as well. And through that, you can sort of compromise their influence. And I think that's always happening. There's an influence operation at every level. And I'm just like, you have to question reality. Honestly, you do at this point. You know what I mean? And anyway, go ahead, play that.
All right.
He had to kill General Soleimani. He had to kill General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
They're trying to murder Trump.
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe
we're
that,
carrying out military strikes today.
You said Israel was.
Right, with our help. I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're supporting them.
Well, you're breaking news here, because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied on behalf of Trump that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity.
No, we're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
Okay.
We are supporting Israel.
If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people.
That's the end of the clip.
That's ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
That is so hilarious. That
got him, bitch. Yeah.
Right. But you know what? It's just interesting to me because it's like I think and by the way, there was an Al Jazeera piece too. They were discussing how basically there's this solid evidence that Iran was claiming U.S. bears responsibility for this Israeli aggression, right? And it was the foreign minister of Iran who they claimed that these attacks basically would not have been, there's no way that it could have actually been conducted without the American support, right? And he claims personally that it would not have materialized without the agreement and support of the United States. This is what he says. We have well-documented and solid evidence of the support provided by American forces in the region and their bases for the military attacks of the Zionist regime. Iran's top diplomat explained this, and basically this was in a press conference, but basically they also said that, clearly in terms of just Trump's support for this, publicly claiming that he knew about the attacks, which I think is important to mention, that obviously they could not have happened without U.S. weapons and equipment, which is why the U.S. just sent a major weapons shipment to Israel just before these attacks took place. So, that is direct involvement in my mind. I don't care how people claim that, okay, obviously this is plausible deniability and this is like how can you think this way?
That's why I mentioned that even if you give this the most good faith perception here, I think there's no really getting away from that. Like, no matter how you cut it, I just can't even imagine a way of looking at this scenario in which you are acting in some gravely untoward manner, like some sort of ridiculous, no matter how you cut it. And it kind of really just comes down to you're a pussy or you're a piece of shit, really. And I guess you're kind of a piece of shit in both, but it's like a different thing. It's like one, you're like an actively being a piece of shit scumbag, and one is just you're a spot, like you're like, oh, I was trying to do the right thing, but I'm just gonna sit here and be a bitch and not do anything about it, and just like, whoa, I'm gonna let this little nation that's supposedly supposed to that we give welfare to and everything, we're just gonna let them plow us over and do whatever the fuck they want. I'm just gonna be their little fucking bitch. That it's right. It's just one or the other. There's really no. It's just really a matter of to what degree do you want to think you want them to be completely ineffective or are you completely against you, like so effectively, but effective piece of shit. I guess I don't know. There's no good way to break this, to cut this down. Like there's no good way to look at this,
right? But also like the fact that they legitimately acknowledge this, and the foreign minister saying that the U.S. therefore, in their opinion, is a partner in these attacks, must accept responsibility. That's very important, and that's exactly how they see it. And by the way, when you see this, we should obviously cancel this Golden Dome project, right? I mean, not only is it billions of dollars, but clearly the Iron Dome is either not functioning correctly or this is deliberate. And we are allowing legitimate strikes to take place in, I believe, to be Palestinian territory. And that's exactly what came out. That Iran, these were all warning strikes, and that all of them essentially hit what would be beneficial targets to the Israeli regime. in their genocidal war on the Palestinians. Like, imagine this, right? So that's another layer to this, another wrinkle that makes me consider the fact that maybe, right, this is all political theater. We're falling into a trap of a preordained outcome of a World War III conflict of international scope, and this is just something that unfortunately we won't be able to just opt out of. I mean, that's almost how it feels. And when you see like, look at this, man, this is the most disturbing video, because basically you're just seeing what exactly I just told you, where, right, you have Iranian missile strikes striking Palestinian towns in the north of the country. And then you have Israelis cheering on the strike as it takes place, which I thought to be just fascinating, man. You know, because what it says here is this group of Israelis were celebrating while an Iranian missile strike predominantly hit a Palestinian town in northern Israel, which killed at least 4 Palestinian citizens and injured dozens more. And so, and these are Palestinian citizens of Israel. But this is the actual video. Now, it's very brief.
Yo!
Oh, shit. They start singing is important. You won't be able to understand it, but I'll explain in a moment. Stop it. It's the dancing Israelis, dude.
It's kind of catchy, I'm not gonna lie.
It's crazy. And so this is so nuts, man.
May your village burn is what it's translated to.
That's exactly what it is. May your village burn.
May your village
it's popularized
burn.
by the
So
Israeli
happy
pop
while
singer
singing it,
Kobe Peretz, and so this is apparently what they were singing is May Your
Kobe
Village
Peretz.
Burn.
All
Right?
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that alone, right? Like, is that not something that should at the very least be acknowledged in terms of like, is this potentially theater at a certain level? And also like, did you see the footage of the Israeli Israel bombing this TV station during the news? Oh my god.
Yeah, it's wild.
That is like, I don't know, this is unprecedented in many ways, but it's also exactly what my ultimate fear was, you know what I mean? Like, but also kind of what I was predicting to happen, because I don't know, I'm just kind of in this moment, I'm under no illusion that we're heading in an optimistic direction, as much as I hate to say this. And this is no black pill. This is, I'm trying to be honest and objective about these, obviously they're political puppets who are entirely compromised and pursuing an agenda that in no way benefits the interest of the average American person. And India. Dude, what up, dog?
Squad.
Oh shit. Well, I will say though, it's very important, you know, just to understand the fact that not only are we directly already involved and implicated in this conflict, you know, it's like, this is something that I think Netanyahu himself put into these terms that were very much spiritual and like religious, right? In my mind, playing to the Trump base that would fall into the trap, right? But while also sort of, you know, insulting and berating the Trump supporter who's obviously opposed to this conflict. And so that's where you have these like odd statements being made by these individuals within the current administration, as well as being reiterated and reinforced by Netanyahu himself, you know, during the context of like the actual news segment where he was essentially threatening the U.S., right? Saying that basically first it's Tel Aviv, then it's New York, right? Which that alone, it's very interesting that of course he would be making that statement due to the obvious attempted encouragement of dragging the U.S. into the conflict, right? And so I don't know, man. It's just something that's worthwhile in pointing out. And again, when, by the way, I saw Daniel McAdams. He tweeted about Itamar Ben-Gvir, and basically he's confronting another Israeli official in the streets about why did you provoke Iran. I don't know how much this is like smoke and mirrors, but it's very interesting because basically the individual responds by saying, we didn't realize the power of Iran's missile capabilities, which I don't really buy that, to be honest. And it did seem like some sort of theater, but they were like legitimately at odds and seemed to be in conflict in the streets with security surrounding them.
Look,
which that was strange, right? But yeah, I don't know, man.
I'm not surprised by now if our fucking iPhones explode in our pockets and they go, it was Hashem, the wrath of Hashem. You know what I mean? Like, you hateful goys, you deserve this. Because like, isn't there a piece of our iPhone made in Israel or something? Like, couldn't they just pull the pager prank again? That freaks me out every day. I don't know if y'all thought about that.
I mean, I try not to think about it too much. I mean, the Jews coming to kill me, that's always a nightmare. But all right, guys, we need to transition over to the call-in portion of the show. Jules, you want to go ahead and get that beautiful bean footage set up for us?
Sure.
And I do want to real quick before we do move on. I did want one last thing. I wanted to make sure we got into the main portion of the show because I do think it's something. This is super quick. This is one of the latest updates we've gotten. Is that Iranian state TV has promised a great surprise. That's in quotes tonight that the world will remember for quote centuries. So. That came out around, I don't know, what, 5 hours ago or so. So, I don't know. We'll see what the hell that fucking means tomorrow. So, but Jules, you got that ready?
Yes, I do. Sorry, I was posting the link on Twitter as well as in the chat.
There are, as far as like the Israeli Air Force is actively in this moment, like striking Tehran. And apparently oil refineries are reportedly being blown up. So, shit falls perfectly in line.
All right, guys, this is let our new editor know how you dig it. I guess we'll call this a postmortem too. Yeah. All right, guys, we'll be back in about 5 minutes or so. Go take a leak, do whatever you gotta do. We'll be back. We'll take some calls. Hey, feel free to join in. Obviously, if you're a patron, you guys will get priority of patron of me or Austin. But all right, we'll see you all in a second. Go ahead and roll that beautiful bean footage, Jules.
Israel. And long live America. Our action will help make the world a much safer place. I want to thank President Trump for his leadership in confronting Iran's nuclear weapons program. He has made clear time and again that Iran cannot have a nuclear enrichment program. Today, it is clear that Iran is just buying for time. It refuses to agree to this basic requirement of peaceful nations. That is why we have no choice but to act, and act now. Die for Christ, die for Allah, die for Jerusalem, die for Torah, for the return, marching in rhythm, firing bullets through the skulls of the children.
Donald Trump said the U.S. had nothing to do with the attack on Iran tonight. Jesus, Jeff. If we are attacked in any way, shape, or form by Iran, the full strength and might of the U.S. armed forces will come down at you at levels never seen before. However, we can easily get a deal done between Iran and Israel and end this bloody conflict. Now, I call entirely fucking bullshit on having nothing to do with it. Now, you could say it depends on how you want to define nothing to do with it. Now, did they do... I guess you could plausibly say, oh, we were doing everything we would have done anyways, because it was like, oh, we just were doing deals and this, but we were aware of it the whole time, but we had nothing. But it's like, you know what you're doing. You know what role you're playing. You know that there's nothing. You know that they're going to attack. Like, so I don't know. I mean, I guess to be the slightest bit of good faith to him, maybe there was this like that like there was this known thing that like, you know, Israel was going to jump in at some point, but like, you know, I don't know. This is ridiculous. The idea they had nothing to do with it. For one, even that aside, even the idea that like he bragged. He literally bragged about the money. This is the point we always come into all the time, that they it's their money. And you know what? The funny thing, that's the argument to go after Iran. The argument for Iran always comes back to there's some sort of nexus of terror, and they support everything else. So like all these claims that you're going to hear going around about these people saying how they killed our troops, they did this, they did that, they did this, they did. I don't know. I mean, it's fully open. This is just some psycho. But according to Radix, this is what she says. He wasn't left-wing or right-wing. He was a Fed, a glowy, a PMC. The crisis acting here is so bad. The camera angles are pretending to pause and think, then regurgitating a script. We used to have better deep events. Now we get sloppy psyops. Sloppy psyops. Getting ready to get murdered by Mexicans or something, I think, right?
I will say there are effectively military checkpoints to a certain extent, honestly, as far as the free moving, like military assets in place. They're very obviously in place in LA right now. It's interesting. And I'm talking people washing their cars, getting just straight up accosted by you know, and obviously, like, in no way am I in support of the Alex Soros funded riots that are obviously playing out. But
have a stronger idea. Maybe you're getting those little notifications or saying, "Hey, there's a Mexican in your area. We're looting cars."
Apps. There's community apps popping off.
See it,
right? They're like, dude, I swear to God, it's crazy,
Bro,
man.
like, so since the Mexicans are doing it, it's just giving the blacks and the Antifa whites like reason to riot as well, right? Like, we see fucking bricks being placed everywhere already.
Well, it's no
People
doubt
getting paid.
What's up, people? What is up? We're back. Austin, did Jules leave us? Is Jules not back anymore? No, there he is.
Probably not back.
All right, put him on the. Here we go. Boom. All right, cool. We're back. All right. Well, we'll be taking some calls here in a second. I think.
Hey,
Jules
I don't think we finished it.
Oh, did
there
we
was
really
like
not?
2 seconds left that he cut out, or I guess it went to black and then it popped back up. But I mean,
I'm retarded. I remember now. Actually, yeah, there was a spot that there was a little tiny little bit at the end there that we missed. Fuck, there was actually a good little spot, good little and whatever. Bring it back real quick. Well, you can leave us on the screen.
Do it, man.
Fuck it, we're doing it live. Bring us back on the screen. Leave us on the screen though. Like fuck it, since we're just playing last second.
So do I need to? All right, here we go.
This is how you vamp, guys. Just make weird noises.
The way it's hardly original. There was an 8th grader on Baltimore Street in Corte Madera that used to call me that.
This
That was the new scum thing. That was the new, okay, so that's what I ended on. I fucked it up. It's not the same if you go back and play it, but worth it. You know,
that's so hilarious.
It would have been better if we had just not. But if we had just not stopped in the first place, but still was worth it to go back to it.
I learned about it when I saw some tweet about Governor Newscum.
Oh, there you go.
Newscum.
A nickname, by the way, that's hardly original. There was an 8th grader on Baltimore Street in Corte Madera that used to call me that.
This is like Clint. Anytime you call him Clint Clitoris.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, they told me to call that when I was a kid.
Oh my God.
All right, let's play before we bring in people in here. I want to watch this other Tucker Carlson one because I know it's all the rage on Twitter right now. So I caught like 20 seconds of it before we started the show. It seemed a little bit of a gotcha question, so it's kind of like, are you really wowed by this? But I mean, I like the idea of grilling Ted. But let's see what he has to say.
How many people live in Iran, by the way? I don't know the population. At all? No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
How many people live in Iran?
92 million.
Okay. Yeah,
how could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
Why is it relevant whether it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that relevant?
Because if you don't know anything about the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and predominantly Shia. Okay, this is cute.
It's not even... You don't know anything about Iran. So
okay, I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government.
You're the one who
don't know anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the one who can't figure out if it was a good idea.
I'm saying, well, actually, never mind. I was supposed to say they're not trying to, but I was going to say they're not the ones who did the assassinations. That's for damn sure. That's fucking stupid. Like anyone who believes that. But let's keep going.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh no, I 100% agree. There was another connection to that ridiculous claim of the assassinations as well. But go ahead, play it.
Mm-hmm.
Killed General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
You don't believe they're trying to murder Trump.
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe that,
we're carrying out military strikks today.
You said Israel was.
Okay,
Right.
Okay, I didn't realize these are both the same clip. I didn't realize they led
last
right one
night
another.
denied the national
are supporting
this is
Israel.
high stakes. You're a senator.
Okay, all right. Well, never mind. I didn't realize there was
the
same thing. It was the same thing. It was the one we watched earlier. So okay, then that makes sense now because it did seem like a gotcha, but then that gotcha caught him off guard and got him to say something stupid. So okay, yeah, because the first half, let's be real, that was gay gotcha shit. Let's be real.
That's what I mean. You know what it reminded me of? What is Aleppo? The Gary Johnson moment, right? Where it's just like, okay, obviously Gary Johnson should know what Aleppo is if he's running for president, but still, it's kind of interesting. And I will say, I think it's worthless in terms of like, I don't know, crucifying someone on some sort of like ethical moral standard.
Real quick, Tyler's saying these aren't gotchas. Ted has done this for years in the Senate and deserves it. Plus, he's all over the board with his replies. Now, I will say what I meant when I said they're gotcha. I do agree he deserves it. But I'd say that like the question of the population and like the demographic, like come on, those are 100% gotchas. Like because he is correct in the sense of like, I don't know, would it really, so far as someone looking for regime change, does it really make a difference? Was it 80 million or 100 million? I mean, it might make for some logistical reasons, but it doesn't make a difference. So, okay, that's all I'm saying. But it is, I did like that it got him off guard and got him to say some dumb shit. You're like, oh shit. So,
exactly. Yeah. Which I'm not at all surprised. I mean, it's Ted Cruz, right? Yeah. Like you remember when the Mercers like basically told him that Trump was their candidate now, and he's like walking away with his head dipped down in the primaries, like from the hotel room after he's like essentially turned away by his most major lucrative donors. It's just hilarious. This is what people do. The political puppets vie for power and funding from the obvious political elite, which remain insulated from any real accountability. So those individuals are rarely named. And when they are, they're usually just front men for the true, shadow network that's playing out. But this is, go ahead, bud. What'd you say, Jules?
That was playback. Sorry, I'm trying to post the link in all the chats and.
Oh shit, my bad. All I heard was your voice.
Yeah, that was weird.
See, happen again. All right.
But this is like super, obviously if you saw the that clip that I played earlier from that mainstream media journalist who's essentially calling for this, right? That Israel needs us. They need this technology. They need this specific, missile and bomb and B-52. What is it? A B-52 that would be able to carry this bunker buster? Or is it another? I'm not even
the photo there is not a B-52. I can tell you that.
I know,
for sure.
right? It sounds like it's much larger than this, which is this is what they're calling for, and that's what definitely like worries me because this, as they're saying here, right? This is a mop. right? It's a precision-guided bunker buster bomb. This specific penetrator bomb that it is apparently what it's going to take. Penetrate 65 yards of concrete before exploding. That's pretty fascinating. It might get some way through the half a mile of earth and rock, though to protect Iran's most closely guarded nuclear secrets. The Fordow facility, which apparently is built into a mountain and entirely fortified. So it
sounds like that wouldn't get through, but what do I know?
Yeah, I mean, we have no clue, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, we aren't experts.
I mean, nukes could be fake and gay for all I fucking know. So,
Hey.
hey, you wanted to talk about, and I didn't want to let you forget this, about the Gladio, because I talked about this a little bit in the show, but I wasn't able to find many good links to kind of dig into it deeper. I know, so this is the Walls guy that was like, appointed by Walls, which that seems to me like the easy narrative that's almost being planted in front of you personally. You know what I mean? Am I right? I mean, that seems like, ooh, her der Mike Walls. Like, that's what it feels like.
Oh, for sure.
So, but I don't know what the real angle is here because it is a confusing story and it doesn't make sense to me. But essentially, the idea is he murdered 2 Democratic lawmakers in the middle of the night wearing some creepy Clint Russell mask. And,
right, that was so funny.
So that's that's that. And I guess somehow they know it's this guy. I haven't looked into the story enough to even know how they know, but that's their guy, and they say that's their guy, and their guy just so happens to have worked for Mike Walls.
I was going to say, I think Ass Cream wants to come on, but
bring Ass Cream up in this
there's
motherfucker.
some guy named Krabs here that just wants to he says, I'm ready for the molestation. Put me in, coach. Okay, Krabs.
All right. Okay.
Pipe down. Are you a patron, Krabs?
Well, was he here at the beginning? That's how you tell the difference. There you go. If they weren't here at the beginning, that's how we tell. He wasn't here before, so you can wait for the other guys.
We're going to assume up first, Krabs, and then if we can get you up here.
All right.
First of all, gentlemen, can you hear me?
Oh, Kraft's saying he's a patron, but I mean, you weren't here. The only way we know you're a patron is if we just know you because you come regularly, or I don't know. He said I've been in and out. Whatever. Okay, we'll call him a patron. We'll call him a patron for today. But Krabs can come up next. What's up, Ass Cream? What you doing, bud?
Test 1 2. Can you gentlemen hear me?
Yeah, you can hear good.
Okay, cool. Just double checking.
Loud and clear, brother.
Did my Bluetooth this time. So first off, hello, gentlemen. Jose, Austin, Jules. Thank you for giving me the time and opportunity to ask another question. While you guys were talking earlier, I just want to say that Iranian TV station getting bombed, it was getting bombed with freedom, and that those bricks of the protests were mostly peaceful bricks. Second, I want to say is I was wrong about my prediction for the riots, for the Los Angeles riots. While there were definitely certain parts of the town that were bad, it wasn't as bad as the BLM riots. And I do have to admit when I'm wrong. Otherwise, I'm no worse than a liberal who is glued to their perspective.
It felt like shit was going to go down, though, because it's like it feels
I don't
like
think it's really entirely over, to be honest, man. I mean, I'm telling you right now, I know personally, I know people, families called in to ICE, like it's all like it's still very much happening in terms of just like on the ground in Los Angeles. This is just very much a distraction, obviously, that's playing out with the conflict, Iran and Israel, which is interesting to me because it also kind of distracts away from the genocidal policies in Gaza, which obviously like what's almost 70 individuals were massacred at like an aid site. Like 30 of them were attempting to actually like receive the aid, almost 40 of them, which just that alone is not even being covered very much in this
every
moment.
day now. Yeah. So
and it's every day.
I think it's Horton says a Waco every day.
This is just the aid
stations. Just at the aid stations.
Exactly. Yeah. But this is the strategy that they were trying to exercise, right? Was the aid model apartheid strategy of ethnic cleansing, like lure them to these locations. They have to make this, extraordinary trip to even get there, all the while risking their lives to pursue this apparent aid. And then to get there and be just sadistically assassinated and prioritized and targeted by the current regime. That seems like a trap, obviously, and that's what we were discussing for multiple weeks on end at this point, right? But I'm not at all shocked that, but I think they're escalating in this moment because it would also benefit them because of the distractionary tactics playing out with Iran. Like while everyone's, focused on something else, we can sort of
kill.
Yeah, exactly, man. This is always the problem.
Well, this is actually kind of a perfect for the question that I have for you guys. So today I have a thought experiment for all of you guys, and I want to get your opinion, if possible, which is related to the current political situation. And I do need a couple of minutes to set it up, and I hope it's worth it. So I was listening to Jules' podcast on Sunday, and during the show at one point, Conspiracy Extremist was talking to various people on Omegle. Part of the discussion was paraphrasing that, hey, listen, there's a difference between a government and the people. A government can be good. A government can be bad, and the people can be good. And I have agreed with this most of my adult life, but then I started doing a deep dive into this question. And the more I analyze it, the more I'm leaning towards that it is actually kind of a cope. I still don't have the answer. I'm still trying to figure out, which is why I'm partially here. So what I'm trying to understand is, at what point is the divide between people are good, but a government is bad, is no longer applies, and it is the people's fault. And here's some examples, starting off on a local and on a state level, local state level, and then a national level. So Los Angeles, the Unified School District is ranked among the worst in the United States. Yet people on the school board, some that have been there for over a decade, are continued to constantly being voted in, and it gets worse. And at that point, I'm thinking it's no longer the government, it is the people, because they're the ones voting for this. Then take the entire state of California. California has the worst homeless population in the entire United States. Yet the people that keep on getting voted in to solve the problem, some who are getting paid as much as $350,000 per year. This is public record, but the issue keeps on getting worse. And in my opinion, that's the people's fault, and it's hence the constituents' fault. On a national level, let's take a look at two examples of two countries. So Haiti was ruled by the French for a cool minute, and the French nobility / bourgeoisie at one point freed the slaves / people. And what happened is the people that were freed, they revolted, they killed the French nobility, and made Haiti the desired vacation destination that we know of currently today. Second example is Rhodesia was ruled by the British for a cool minute. And then the moment they were given independence and freed, that the people of Rhodesia, which is now known as Zimbabwe, they destroyed the factories, they destroyed the farms, they destroyed the bakeries, they destroyed the finances of the country, resulting in the extreme hyperinflation. And again, that's the people. So in conclusion, the thought experiment is, what is the tipping point for America? And at what point should the citizens, and again, the citizens of Americans are beautiful. I mean, I wouldn't want to live anywhere in any other country as an immigrant myself, but at one point are the government's actions, the responsibility of the people, and we should take responsibility.
Well, it depends on what you mean by that, because I mean, that seems like a loaded. I'm not saying you're loading the question, but it's like the idea then is like, is this like a genocide hypothetical? Is it like what percentage of people do we need to do a certain action before? All right, fuck it, kill them all. I guess it's just kind of like what do you mean by take responsibility? Because it really does come down to an individual level. So is the question here, at what point can you collectivize an entire group, regardless of what individuals within such group are technically not responsible for said actions? Because I mean, if you have a group where everyone in said group is responsible for said action, then it is like, yeah, it's unavoidable. You have unanimous consent here, so it's like, yeah, I mean, although that would be an absurd situation. So I don't know. I guess I'm a little bit confused by hypothetical. I don't know about you, Austin. Are you tracking? Are you the same thought pattern as me, or I don't know?
I feel like,
just trying to clarify the question.
Right.
Yeah.
But obviously, I believe that clearly government is just the highest level of organized crime masquerading as a animal rights organization, or human rights organization, as Dave Smith says, right? So I just think, like, ultimately individualism is what matters most, because it's up to you to sort of break out of the system, break free from the conditioning, reject your prior programming, like figure out the fact that obviously, I don't know, like I'm blessed with the reality that I kind of bucked the trend from day one. I wasn't much I definitely wasn't falling into the traps, and I was rejecting authority, but I felt like I was a minority, right? In the just the public school system.
You fucking Jew.
Right? Hey man, I'm just saying they trained me how to be a criminal, you know, they trained me how to be basically a prisoner. You know, like I spent the vast majority of my public schooling in ISS or you know, detention before I got ISS or finally OSS, and then
Saturday,
man. I tried to fight my dean of students, and I was basically sent to the A school in the last part of my senior year just so I could graduate, like right with all the pregnant chicks. You know what I mean? Like I essentially could not function within the structured system, right? Like I just could not. It made no sense to me. I was demanding respect in order to, you know, reciprocate, and that was obviously driven out of you. And if you did that, where you said, man, treat me with a little respect and I'll actually talk to you in a civilized way, like, what the fuck are you doing? You know, you get off on yelling and screaming at girls all day. You're a girls basketball coach. You know what I mean? Like, it's weird, strange behavior of a man, you know what I mean? With this mentality and how they sort of, to me, I don't know, you're ethically compromised already. So I was, you know, but this was just sort of the inherent framework I was blessed with. So thank God that I had a questioning intellect. That's where I think there is a differentiating factor here where, like, maybe the vast majority don't, maybe it's their parenting. Maybe I don't know what all the factors are that play into this. If it's simply IQ, which I don't even buy into that. I mean, I don't, it shouldn't be that difficult to identify. This is why I was so obsessed with The Art of War. Know your enemy, right? And as soon as we have that, just sort of like, I think it's of the utmost importance that we kind of, at the very least, we manufacture that defense mechanism, as I say, you know, often. And that is mainly because I see the deception taking root. I see it destructing and destroying personal, you know, relationships, family members, people that I love, people that I only want the best for. I see them being conned and strategically duped and lured into showing up at these protests and things of that nature as if they are among the resistance and actually rejecting authority. I mean, these are all like chalk, you know, like basically you're falling into the chalk outline on the sidewalk, man. Like, you know, this is just, to me, I don't know. I can't stand it anymore. It's very difficult for me, and I get frustrated only because I you know, I have love for these people who I see kind of falling into these ideological prisons, and that's where I think that's a major reason why I reject the two-party paradigm, the delusion. I see how it effectively you know, seduces each of these individuals who have good intentions. They truly do mean well, but they aren't willing to kind of dive into the layers of depth necessary to then kind of like overexpose yourself to understand how the system kind of actually functions. I don't know. That's how I feel personally. You know, I'm seeing it play out in real time, and it's, yeah. It's,
Jules, do you have a opinion before I follow up with the gentleman about
what percentage of people have to be bad before you'll murder them all?
Oh, shit. Was that the question? My bad, dog. My bad. I think fuck them. They have to learn on their own and get to a certain
people have had
conclusion.
enough. They'll have enough, but it's like, when
78%
be enough, because like do they have to be like taking your fucking property from you and like chaining your kids up? Is that time to, you know, fight back or whatever? I don't know, man.
Well, there's always a tipping point, and the thing is, like, first off, this question isn't in the sense of like, you know, let's overthrow our government, let's start a revolution. It's just like, legitimately, at what point are we, as a nation, supposed to, you know, take responsibilities for our government, and again, eliminating that divide between
y'all want to get someone else's
government and people are
bring these on
different. And then Jose, yeah, I didn't mean to be as a loaded question. I didn't interpret it as one, but it's so broad, and which is why I said I'm still, I don't have the answer myself. I'm still trying to figure it out, which is why I'm asking you guys. I'm trying to see all the different perspectives, and then I really have to sleep on it and analyze it before I come to a conclusion.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a specific. I think it's just. I think it's just a difference of working in generalities and working individual. That's all it really comes down to. Obviously, we can't. I think, like, obviously, I'm joking with the genocide answer, but it's like you can't literally murder everyone because it's like a lot of them are bad. But it is like, on an individual level, you can't be like people taking responsibility. So I don't know. It's a. I guess we would have to clarify the question a little bit more. But yeah, I think generally speaking, collectivizing people in like a literal sense, like here's some sweeping action that we're going to do is usually not good. But like if you're just trying to conceptualize a group in generalities, there's no problem with that. You can say, generally speaking, this group is responsible. But then if you're then going to ascribe some sort of fix for it, like a one size fits all, that's obviously not. So it's I don't know. It's a difference between working in generalities or working in individual. I think at least that's the way I see it. I guess.
I view collectivism as the poison pill at all times. I think individual sovereignty is what you have to pursue at every level. And I think that we cannot control the intellectual outcome of our neighbor. And even attempting to is a major mistake. And I think it's unethical inherently. And I think we should oppose the state at every level that we can. But that's really... unless we want to, put our own freedom at risk in terms of just like actually revolting in some sort of criminal way, like that would honestly be the only. And I'm not calling for that. I'm just saying that at this point, man, like what else is there? The way the system is currently structured. It would take a revolution. It would legitimately take, an upending of the current system in order to actually, and people, that falls into the line of the age of Aquarius. It almost is as if we've been led into this moment where we are embracing this as the inevitable outcome. Somehow, hopefully, just like under some false hope that potentially what will rise from the ashes will be something, more worthwhile, and just as far as the moral foundation. But I don't see it that way. I just think we're too far gone in this current structured system, and until people can wake up to this fact that we have a criminal elite, we have a criminal elite, we have a criminal elite that have not been held accountable. And until that moment comes, and all that happens is the call for accountability falls within the two-party paradigm. So people are only willing to, obviously prioritize targeting the individual that turns out to be their political opponent. I have no reason to be interested in opting into that frame of mind. It's like absolutely not. I think that's, but again, I don't know. Anyway,
we got to get another guest in here. It's been great having you here, Ask Cream, but we do have a bunch of other people who want to get in.
Love you, Ask Cream.
Jules,
thank you all. I appreciate
love you,
time.
brother. Jules, you want to bring in the next person? Who do we got?
Bring up D's real fast.
What's up?
Yeah,
dude?
what's up, guys?
What's up, man? You're coming on a little hot. Let me see if I can turn your audio down a little bit. You keep talking. I'm gonna adjust your audio from my side of things. Go ahead, keep going.
All right, yeah. Hey, fuck, I'm tired. I'm coming to you from a gas station in Georgia. I got about 5 more hours, and I'll be at my hotel. I'm getting there.
Sweet. Hell yeah, dude. We're gonna have to hang out, right? You're going to Bro Grove?
Yep. You're there?
Nice, yeah, I'm going.
Austin will be there.
Excellent.
Yeah, Austin will be there. I'll be. I think I'm gonna be there for one of these. Not at Bro Grove, but I'll be like 30 minutes away. So I'm gonna go. So if anybody's out there does want to do something, wants to hang out, I'm not sure which day it will be yet. So I don't know. Maybe reach out to me. We got to do a little bit of scheduling and figure out what we're doing on our side of things, because we're going to probably try to set up some sort of hangout with a few people. So
But
yeah.
would be all.
Yeah.
Am I invited, dude?
No, you're not invited. Austin. No, Austin, I guess I don't want to like give up the whole thing, especially 'cause it's not entirely planned. But we were sort of planning on maybe doing like, because I mean, Clint has a studio. We'd go over there, do live, maybe get a guest. I mean, we have some ideas in mind, but it's all still like up in the air. So as far as scheduling, so I didn't want to announce anything yet. So that's what I'm alluding to. We're probably gonna have some sort of podcast or something. Probably some sort of decently good name, and I don't know. We'll probably have a good discussion because we'll have World War III going on, so it'll be we'll have plenty to talk about. I'm sure, and I want to say whatever I don't have any intention on talking about Bro Grove drama whatever the fuck in that podcast is before anyone starts
told him that
around.
by the way,
So.
just so you know.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. So I'm over it. But yeah, what's up, Abrogate? You got any shit for us? Any thoughts? Any questions? I mean, what are your take on the end of Empire?
Oh God, no, I don't have any big takes. I don't know what to think at this point. Yeah, no idea what's gonna happen. So.
Yep, exactly.
It won't be good. I can say that, but how bad? I don't know.
Yeah.
Never is it good. I know that it's kind of hilarious just to see like the calls for regime change and how much they mimic, that of the Iraq War propaganda, like we mentioned before. But yeah, man,
it's ridiculous. It makes me so angry. I was like towards the end of high school for Iraq War and all that shit. Like I remember it all. It pisses me the fuck off. So I'm gonna hit the road again. There's other people in the chat, so you guys have a good night.
You too, brother. Glad to have you join us. Well, hopefully we'll see you here in a few days. I look forward to hanging out with you.
Sounds good.
Jules, get the next one in here.
All right, guys. So it's Jacob. Then where did Jacob go?
Bring on
Jacob. Because I have to get out of here. It's Jacob, Krabs, and then y'all are gonna end it with Shy.
All right, Jules, go on and get out of here. We got it. We'll bring Jacob on.
Great Pod on Twitter, guys.
Yeah, you go bang your beautiful wife or whatever it is you're trying to do.
Well, I'm going to co-host Horseshoes and Hand Grenades. So after this,
don't take our views, you
rate our show or something. Man, y'all all come over there and hang out with me and Conspiracy Extremists.
Hell yeah, dude.
Brother.
Anyway, love you guys.
Love you, Jules.
Great show tonight.
Pleasure having you, brother.
Stay great, build everybody.
Get the fuck out of here. All right, we got Jacob up in this bitch. What's up, dude?
What's going on, fellas?
What's up? Any thoughts? Any questions? Hey, you probably dug a little bit into this Minnesota stuff. Any thoughts? We haven't really dug into it like hardly at all. We're just we're getting ready to claw at that narrative just a tiny bit. Any thoughts? Have you dug into it or not really? It just seems like something you would have.
I mean, a little bit, just because it seems like weird timing. I mean, the No Kings flyers that he supposedly had in his car.
Yeah, over the top. Yeah, very much Fed planted shit.
Oh, dude, I mean, had a whole manifesto though.
Totally seems
a list
like Phoenix Gladio nonsense.
Exactly,
it's just
man.
Like,
I'm telling you, list
a continuation of everything that's been going on, and it seems like perfect timing too, because they kind of wanted to distract from other things that were going on. See, somebody said boost audio, so it's all the way up on my end. So
I got it. I can edit it on my end. Keep going.
But yeah, it just seems like it's really convenient. But it kind of seems like they also wanted to throw it in when there was all this other chaos, Yes. So maybe it kind of like slipped under the radar, which I guess it kind of has. However, this has completely wiped Palantir off the map. Nobody's fucking talking about it except for a select people on X. So, and it seemed like that was definitely the I guess the game plan with all of this World War III shit is to get rid of Palantir, which they did.
We get rid of it? What do you mean? So we don't talk about it anymore?
Right.
Okay.
Draw attention away from even the immigration crisis, right? Like as far as just the domestic operations playing out, I think that it becomes specifically strategic timing, definitely, as far as this Iranian conflict. I think it's been brewing. They've been waiting to kind of greenlight this, and once sort of the circumstances were set, and I just think that this individual specifically, 57-year-old Vance Belter, he's allegedly stalked his victims like prey, is what they said, right? And it gets so insane when you dig a little deeper into his connections, because
the one I found real quick, I wanted, I guess I'm jumping ahead, but then he worked for a company called Praetorian Guard.
Oh,
and
yeah,
this is one of those ones that sometimes just gets you, and you're like, dude, what the fuck? Like, I mean, I might be getting my Roman history a little bit wrong, but I'm pretty sure the Praetorian Guard, like their whole shtick was they were known for kind of being like the power behind the throne, and if it's anything, they were known for like kind of, it was heavily alluded, they kind of were the ones taking care of the throne
like special
occasionally.
forces,
So
basically,
so they were the OG deep state is also another way to kind of look at it. Like they were the power behind the throne, you know.
Before he did that, he was a general manager at 7-Eleven.
Oh, dude.
So he just went from 7-Eleven general
That's
manager
what they
to
say. I think that was a plausible deniability cover, dude.
Right.
Like I found out he was apparently he had so many different jobs that he was pursuing, and one of them was he was working for this morgue, and he would specifically be called in to go to specific homicide scenes, right? Criminal scenes, and that's where he would then take the bodies and remove the bodies from the scene of the homicide, which I thought that alone was very interesting, that he was being called in for this purpose. But it gets crazier than that. That's what I'm saying, dude. But I'm telling you right now, the connection with his wife, and then he has like some international connections that I didn't realize. But this right here, we can listen to just a little bit, because it's crazy, to be honest.
We have been listening to
setting up this story in a way for people who aren't entirely aware of what took place here.
And watching federal authorities in Minneapolis, Minnesota, discussing charges against this man, Vance Belter. He is accused of killing Minnesota State Representative and former House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband over the weekend. Police also say that Belter shot and injured State Senator Mark Hoffman and his wife. We heard the acting U.S. attorney in Minnesota say this was a political assassination. We also heard just now, they repeated it, that this person, they say, went to the homes of at least 4 elected officials. Let me bring in NBC News correspondent Shaq Brewster, who's been watching all of this and covering it. Shaq, that headline that he went to not just 2 homes, but 4 homes is news.
Yeah, you heard federal authorities there explain that this is something that, in their words, nightmares are made out of, that these are chilling details that we're learning. And we learned a lot in that press conference as they detailed why they were charging him with these 6 federal charges that include stalking using interstate facilities, murder of the Hortmans, and shooting of the Hoffmans. Now, we learned there that he went to 4 different homes. The official there said he stalked his victims like prey. He stopped at those 4 houses with the intent to kill. He started at the home of the Hoffmans. The officials there say that it was their daughter that ultimately called and presumably saved their lives. And that's what started this chain of investigations, where we know that.
Now, it's notable that you had apparently at one point he encounters police officials, right? Like actual authorities who have been called into the scene, right? Who by the apparent daughter of one of the alleged priority targets. And this police officer tries to talk to the suspect, and essentially what they said, the authorities alluded to the idea that he didn't make contact, but then ultimately kept going. Although he did encounter the suspect and attempted to engage with him. And so it was like very...
Sounds like they're saying like, oh, hey, blah, 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 and then he just kind of the interpretation of getting you're saying here is then he just kind of just kept going as if he didn't even, like, as if he didn't even register. Is that what you're interpreting that? That's kind of, I interpret that.
Similar, but then I find out that apparently there were far more than just one authority involved in this encounter, and that they had already known of his involvement and were allegedly allowing him to sort of flee the scene. And that's what essentially happens. He flees out the back door of one of the locations, which I couldn't even believe the story of what was happening. But we'll get into more of the details after a couple more minutes.
Authorities say the suspect went to 2 other homes of lawmakers. At one point, encountered a police officer who was responding, who tried to talk to the suspect, authorities say, and essentially didn't make contact, and then ultimately kept going. And that's when this all ended at the home of the Hortmans, who were killed after a shootout between the suspect and police that were arriving there on scene to essentially do a wellness check. So this was a really chilling details and a chilling account that we learned from authorities. They did say that the suspect is now in federal custody. We can expect to see him in court at 2:30 Eastern time. This is when we can presume.
That's quick.
Yeah, very quick. Now, it gets more interesting because there is a report that says that this man's wife, so Vance Belter,
yeah,
Belter, his wife is apparently she's Jennifer Belter, and she's detained after police stops her in apparently Onamia, Minnesota. Onamia. I'm not entirely certain how to pronounce it, but this is where they stop her. They've been tracking this specific vehicle, and apparently there had been 3 relatives of Belter that were also in the vehicle at the time. And so there was no elaboration on who the individuals were, but it turns out that, she is apparently, this is crazy because she has like all this ammunition, these various weapons that she gets, passports, a weapon, ammunition apparently is involved in the stop. And I should have taken a damn screenshot, honestly, because this is it's super important, and I know that they are going to effectively paywall all of this information, right? Which is basically happening in this moment. And so I'm going to try and find another link to this. Here we go. I have it. So it turns out.
Jesus. It's got a big old thunder. You guys didn't hear that in my end. It's got a big ass thunder. All right, that's what that was. Sorry, that was weird. Okay, all right.
So Belter, right? He's part of a business group that met with Democratic Republic of Congo's ambassador to the U.S. on November 30th, 2018 in Worthington, Minnesota. This was one aspect of these interesting connections that started to play out. Now, not only that, but he worked for a company called Marathon Oil. And Marathon Oil was just targeted by these arson cases, specifically in Texas, that had these specific criminal cases of arson that basically, played a vital role in kind of, I think, another reason why you're seeing some of these domestic targeting. It's just another layer of Gladio, right? In terms of like, not only was he involved with this company that's being targeted for arson, he's also lobbying for the employment of Congolese nationals at Marathon job sites in the past. This is apparently happening as well. And so it's very interesting because this is Praetorian Security, right? Yep. That's a company that he was apparently involved with. Praetorian Guard Security Services is it's said to be first of all, it's very interesting because this whole situation, right? They find Belter and his wife owning this LLC, Praetorian Guard Security Services, but the company was first registered with the Minnesota Secretary of State's office in September 2018. And so this is it gets crazier than this because apparently on the website, Jennifer Belter, she's listed as the president and CEO, right, of this Praetorian Guard Security Services. And they're offering residential armed home security for your family, home, and property. And then the website states that they are licensed service in Minnesota, helping to keep your home, property, and those you love safe. But then it gets even more interesting because on his LinkedIn page, according to his biography, he has been involved with security situations in Eastern Europe, Africa, North America, and the Middle East, including the West Bank, Southern Lebanon, and the Gaza Strip. It doesn't provide any...
This just sounds like program to kill nonsense.
It's exactly what it sounds like. and it doesn't provide any details on the actual security situations of these alleged stories and or cases of the involvement.
So he's a contractor.
That's what it sounds like. It sounds like he is a domestic
contractor.
asset and a potential mercenary in my mind for hire, right? And so it also offers armed security services. We drive the same make and model of vehicles that many police departments use in the U.S. currently. They apparently drive Ford Explorer utility vehicles. So again, you have this sort of like, we're obviously attempting to pass ourselves off as legitimate law enforcement. You know what I mean? Which to me, it falls perfectly in line with some of these kind of like, if you remember the Boule and how they were functioning, that individual was connected back to Kamala and those weird fraternities that they were involved with.
Right.
And they had their own security force that was masquerading around as
cops.
An actual,
they had like they were that was the whole thing, impersonating an officer. That was the whole issue.
Exactly.
It was started over.
Tim Walz has issues with this in his political career, if I remember correctly, because if anyone remembers, he sent out the police during COVID when everyone wasn't staying in their homes and everything. But there was also some scandal he had with some sort of like private security force. I can't remember exactly what it is. You'd have to go look. I don't think it was the same one, but he did have some sort of scandal pop up, and it just like popped up and disappeared right before.
Oh my God.
So
real quick, we do need to move on to other guests. We have two more waiting, and it is getting later. Sorry, Jacob, do you have any questions or anything before? I mean, I know we didn't ask you. So is there anything you want to go to if you just want to hang out for a minute? Because if so, I guess you accomplished that.
Get
all right, cool.
Back up.
All right, we'll get somebody else here. Let's bring on Krabs.
Later, guys.
Thanks for joining us, Jacob. We'll bring you on again next time. Krabs, what's up, dude? Give us a little talky talk. Let us know that you're there.
Yo, dude.
What's up? What's up? Well, you got any questions? Got anything for us, or you want to just kind of shoot the bull about fucking?
All the above.
All
right. This is gonna be real black pilled.
Okay.
But
Let's do it.
I kind of want to jump off of Ass Cream's question or thought experiment. That is a real fucking faggy way of asking, like, is revolution here? Is that time? And I don't mean to y'all need to tell me, or I don't know what language, 1984 language I need to use to not flag your channel.
Oh, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. I'll say nigger on the stream.
Okay.
I don't give a fuck. Go for it.
Okay. But that's not like.
Just no threats of violence or anything crazy. But I mean, whatever.
No, well, and that's the
nothing
whole
legally actionable.
Guys, that's the whole fucking thing here. Is they're pushing everybody into a corner to where they want that reaction. They want another fucking Tim McVeigh or some retard bullshit. And like nobody wants what's going on now. You talk to your NPC Republican or Democrat friends or associates or coworkers, and I mean, yeah, I know some diehard MAGAs are, but even then, you really get if you get into the uncomfortable with them, they don't want what's going on, but man. The dynamo keeps turning. You're fighting against billions and trillions of dollars, and it's coming. This bullshit has been coming since the fucking 90s. Since I was a kid, I got lured into fucking WMDs and hoorah, I'm a fucking good Marine, and I did all that dumb shit, and they're doing it again. And like I said, we need some sort of organized, like through love, not violence, but I mean like some bonus army type shit. Like, I don't know. Like, what do y'all think? I'm about pissed drunk. So
Yeah.
sorry, but
I think you got to improve yourself, take care of those around you, and do the best you can. Really, at the end of the day, all you can do is work on yourself and better the things around you. And if we all do that collectively together, we all improve. At the end of the day, I do think someone in the private chat said black pills are a gay psyop. They are. I also think it seems like you might have been getting a little bit about Fed posting there, just a tiny bit. I think revolution's stupid. Now there's different types of revolutions. Like, as I'm big into political theory, like agorism. Like if you read that, they're all their books. They go into their concept of revolution, but their concept of revolution is like a peaceful revolution. But if we're talking like 1776, nah, that shit's gonna get fucked. That shit's gonna get overtaken.
I'm going to jump in. Here's the thing. I agree 100%, but that's where, quote unquote, we or whatever, like people who just want the best for fucking America and Americans.
Mm-hmm.
Like this psyop is pushing us towards that, towards some violent bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's the black pill. That's where you see these accelerationists, these people that are like, oh, we just want to destroy it all. That's where I don't even fucking care. There's even the anti-natalists and stuff. So they are trying to make doomers of us. That is true. So yeah. Again, this war with Iran is coming. We are at war. A goddamn battle fleet. You don't move a fucking battle fleet around for. So, back to Ask Cream's little fucking question is like, if we really feel, or if we are a democracy, if we believe in the democratic whatever, we are represented by who we elect, then fuck yeah, we are 100 fucking percent responsible if we bomb the homes of fucking people. I mean, God damn it. Like I said, I'm sorry, guys. I mean, I get what you're saying. I mean, I think the democracy is fake and gay. So, like, yeah, I don't think I have any responsibility whatsoever for those deaths. But I do think I'm stolen from. So I should try to withhold the best I can. But I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, brother.
I think the most important part, though, is basically what your mom said in the private chat: parallel systems and community, which is basically just limiting your dependence on the current system, which is. You're just trying to insulate yourself, right, from the consequences of the permanent establishment and exactly what you're talking about as far as this geopolitical conflict, which is obviously has been in the making and a manufactured crisis for longer than we've probably been alive, to be honest. And finally, things are coming to fruition in terms of the globalist framework. And this is, I think they're ahead of schedule, but in no way is that a black pill. I think if you've been deceived to the extent to where criticizing the current system and realizing the unfortunate position that we find ourselves in, you know what I mean? It's like, really, you're just at this point, you're just identifying the fact that they've created this new pejorative to leverage against us, as the conspiracy theorist moniker was so long, utilized. In the same way is the black pill moniker. Right? Oh my God! You're actually contending with reality itself,
motherfucker. Yeah, I got all that.
Right? You're actually questioning reality, and you don't at all align yourself with, the political establishment as it's currently constructed, and that's where everyone's been conditioned to become a statist. No one is actually opting out of this and focusing their time on creating these independent alternative systems, and if they are, those are the people you should align yourself with, because I think that's where the hope resides. You know what I mean? The rest of it is all demoralization, strategically driven to misdirect us.
See, in Austin, I get you, but like the closest town to me is 400 people. I live in a real small community. We're real tight knit. I actually live in a community with an HOA. That's weird enough, and I'm on the board of that, as fucked up as that is. But yeah, that's a whole nother fucking thing. But anyways, I'm all about, like, that's what I'm trying to say is get to know your fucking neighbors, gentlemen. ladies and gentlemen. Like, get to know their skills, get to know their beliefs, get to know. Right now, we really need to be. Hey, we just need to be knowing our neighbors in a more intimate way than ever before, and having those weird, living in the uncomfortable, and not offensive, but steadfast. But we've been living in fucking Disneyland. All of us, I mean, up to today, how have you, all three of us, everybody in chat, how have we been propagandized today? We're all susceptible to it. And we just got to start breaking these walls down of left, right, fucking libtard, Republican, whatever the fuck. I mean, it like I said, shit's really fucking knocking on the doorstep, gentlemen.
I agree, man.
All right, Mr. Krabs, we do got to get on to our next guest. Well, and no, you got anything else for us? We're not rushing you out, but okay.
Nope.
All right, well, glad to have you. Come on another time. Bring a question. Just shoot the bull. Whatever you want to do. You can join for a topic. Bring up a topic, whatever. But we're gonna let you go. We're gonna go bring on Shy Yuon. Oh, Mr. Beep Beep, and then we'll have him on. What's up, Shy? Let's do it. We got any questions for us today? You got any topics? You want to talk about the Gladio in Minnesota? What it do?
I gotta finish those couple of details on that story. But Shy, what's up, brother? How you doing, man?
Yeah, I want to I guess piggyback off on the question, and then off of what my last man was talking about.
Oh yeah.
I like how he touched on love, which is like of all the esoteric studies, that to me is the number one thing to study is love in all the different forms. That's going to bring you the closest to God. It really, if
heaven
that's
on earth.
For, but to move on to the question now. So. Like to say when it comes down to like, oh, people voted for this, so this is what they deserve type thing. It's kind of, we already know that we don't have much of a choice when it comes to vote. A lot of us don't vote because we don't even like who's put up in front of us. And
hell yeah,
we're not going to get the chance to really vote someone in that we, truly.
Fuck representation anyway, right?
That we really want. And then in the framing of the question, which I had a little problem with the framing of the question because it seemed like it was talking about like colonialism, and then once colonialism ends in these countries, then the country just gets fucked up, which is just skirting the fact that the country got fucked up because it got put into a system that wasn't natural to the system that was there for thousands of years to begin with. And maybe Ass Cream said, maybe got his words a little mixed up, but he said in Haiti, they were giving independence and then they revolted, just logic. Right. That doesn't make sense. And Haiti is, is the only country to have a successful slavery revolt. It was, they successfully had their revolution. So, and then to expand on like the community thing, and it is very important for us, for the individual to make sure that they have health, love, awareness, and wealth. It is very important. Those are your mainstays. So once you have those, and really your wealth comes from your love and your health, saying if that's the true wealth and your awareness. So once you have to be good in yourself in order to help the next person. If you're struggling, you can't really do much for the next person. But for instance, You could walk down the street and someone could pass you, and this person has been having a bad day. They've, their wife's cheating on them or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And they don't even say a single word to you. You're not even really looking at them. You're looking past them. You see them, but you're not paying attention to them. But you subconsciously do pick them up. We only pay attention to like 30% of what we actually see. 70% of what we see is just being internalized. And you could pass that person and their mood, their face, just the way their face is, can have an effect on you. So it is very important to make sure the people around you are good. And that then just keeps expanding. Like, community is good. Like, I live in the city, so it's not that small. There's a lot of people to deal with. You know what I'm saying? And
hey, I'll be honest, Shy. I don't want to know my neighbors. Like, I can't fucking stand my neighbors, but I'm just being honest. I live in LA. What are you to expect? You know what I mean? And honestly, I'm sure we would get along a little bit more, but if I was, interested in kind of having like an honest and objective, open-minded interaction and meet someone new, but like, I don't know, man. Like this is why, like, I've basically, I grew up on a 35-acre farm. So like, maybe that's a part of it, is that I'm experiencing the exact opposite. And inherently I'm just entirely like against this lifestyle and in every way seeing like the level of control that people have. Yeah, man.
Like, I grew up like, my first like 15 years of my life, like I grew up in like a suburb of a city. So I grew up walking around saying hi to everybody as a kid, all the neighbors, hey, hi, you know what I'm saying? Then when I started moving to places where there's more people, you can't do that. There's just too many people. You can't say hi to everybody. So, and that's kind of the main, that's kind of how people move through a city and stuff. But just my last point to try and wrap it up, it'd be like, we have a huge cognitive dissonance. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yep.
It's good to recognize why these things, what's the impetus of this, why we put ourselves in these positions. And I think about like, I live in a place where there's a lot of people that ask for money. They get you right on the highway, like right at the stop sign and all this.
Very nice sign. Take the time. Like, come on, guys.
And if I'm even in a good mood or whatever, or I have some money next to me, like I may want to give it to somebody that I think maybe this person might need a break. You know what I'm saying? Or a little something, whatever. But then you get to the next person, you get another block, you see someone else that you're like, oh, maybe I should have given it to him, or you know what I'm saying? And you can't, and eventually you start to get mad because you recognize your own helplessness. And I want to really just leave it at that. Like, we really start to internalize once we realize like how much we really can't help others, it really does reflect how helpless we are on the inside. And that comes to, talking about these wars and all that stuff. We're really just trying to reflect and just hope for the best,
Right. I remember when before I moved, I was still in Arkansas, and I saw this dude, man. He's on an off ramp of the highway, and he's asking for money. So I was like, all right, I'll give you some of my lunch that I didn't eat from work, right? See how it is, see how your reaction is. And they couldn't care less, man. They had a really nice truck that that they were making payments on, that was parked in the gas station across the block, and this was a job to them. And I was just like, man, that's demoralizing, right? Like, you try and go out of your way, like, hey man, here's some yogurt, here's a sandwich, you need something, I'm actually like, I don't need it, it's cool, I didn't actually eat it, right? And then to have that reaction, it was very eye-opening for me. It was something that I needed to witness, and I'm not like writing off everyone that I see because of this obvious experience that I had, but at the same time, I think it's very important to kind of like just interpret, just at the very least be aware of kind of the devious nature of many people who have been conditioned in the current system, and where we are far too lazy, undisciplined. I think the vast majority of us are unwilling to put in enough effort, and the ones who are, will rise above in a way on just because it really doesn't take all that much. It's just kind of applying yourself at a certain extent and attempting to pursue a more ethical path. But the only thing I know, Jose, we'll get out of here, brother. But I'm just saying, like, I do think there are a couple of details and I won't be long-winded in this. I think it's very important. It's just
I don't believe you for 1 second.
Dude, I got fucked, man. No, I'm telling you right now. I got paywalled earlier, and it really it affected my ability here because this is the details of this alleged, just as far as like the wife being apprehended and what was found, and then the apparent list that he had, right, and manifesto that he had, which I found very interesting. Right, he's sitting in the Hortman's driveway. These lawmakers who specifically, right, like apparently he believed that many of these lawmakers he was prioritizing and targeting were driving forces behind the legislation to codify abortion rights. So this was another like political factor playing involved as far as the motivating factor involved here. And I thought it was interesting. But then Belter's SUV, right, that was left sitting in the driveway of one of the victims, there were all these flyers, like Jacob mentioned earlier, right? These No Kings flyers that were in his vehicle. Now, what's more interesting is that he's very much pro-Trump, right? Which I found, like, come on now, if you're a political asset, a mercenary who's been essentially utilized as a tool within the confines of like a domestic operation that's been greenlit, and now all of a sudden you're in a Clint Russell mask and you're caught right running out the back of a lawmaker's residence, thinking you're going to get away with this, and potentially that's not at all the case, and you were kind of like left out to essentially kind of left hung out to dry, and but this hit list in the vehicle, it had 70 people on the hit list, including Tim Walz, Hortman, Hoffman, obviously, who were targets. And then it contained all these references to Planned Parenthood, reinforcing that sort of strange, anti-abortion.
So there isn't even a surface level stupid Tim Walz thing? Because that was the thing I'm trying to wrap my head around. Because it seems like, well, what I'm saying is because he used to work for Tim Walz, it almost looks like the angle was they were trying for left. He just seems so confused. Right. Like, I know if you read the thing, like, it's like, this is what it's talking about, where like Radix put that tweet, that sloppy psyops, because it's like, it's like, what like, it's the angle here is so confusing. Nothing makes sense. Like, you're like, what? Like, there's not even like a consistent narrative really here. I'm not understanding. At least maybe that's my impression. But go on.
Right. No, I get it. The entire thing was very sloppy.
Yeah, it feels
I would
weird.
agree. Yeah, entirely. And Walz appointed Belter to this 4-year term on the governor's workforce deployment board in December of 2019. Belter was appointed to a 2-year term in the Minnesota Governor's Workforce Development Council by Democratic Governor Mark Dayton back in 2016. So Hoffman was also a member of that very board during Belter's tenure. What the fuck? So he like personally knew this guy, was appointed on a board by the current governor or by the Democratic governor at the time, right? Which is when Belter's listed as the general manager of that 7-Eleven. And so that's I think a misnomer, a misdirection tactic, because it's he's like telling his personal friends and family that he made some choices and that he's not going to be he's going to be gone for a while, and he may be dead shortly. That was something that he told his friends and family. And anyway, it gets far more interesting, as I mentioned before, because he's apparently been on these strange security situations that he's involved with in the West Bank, right? And and yeah, his company, this LinkedIn page, it basically says that it lists Belter's current job as CEO of Red Lion Group, based in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And you consider the Congolese recruits that he was with Marathon Oil, which were targeted for arson and at least specific sites, and especially in Texas. But anyway, and then Belter was apparently also actively applying for full-time jobs with titles such as Director of Operations, Vice President, General Manager, and President. That's just his LinkedIn. But yeah, it gets far more interesting because apparently there are these connections to this. He's working 6 days a week for Wolf Funeral Homes and Metro First Call. All right. So he's doing primarily body removals. And the jobs included removing bodies from active crime scenes, delivering them to the medical examiner's office in Hennepin County, Minnesota. But yeah, so it gets even deeper than that. But it's really like we could discuss it at a later date. I just thought it's very interesting, and that he's connected to these crazy like public health care organizations as well. And again, he's not at all just this owner of a 7-Eleven. You know what I mean? And like, I just think it's very important to point out that obviously this is a sort of spot the spook scenario. You know what I mean? And he's obviously
feels that way, yeah.
in line with intelligence. So anyway, buddy.
Well, all right, brother, let's get out of here. I'm about to fucking fall asleep. I'm sorry, dude. I live multiple time zones away. Shy, we're gonna let you go. Any final words before we get out of here?
No, I appreciate you guys.
All right, thanks for coming on, brother. Come on again next week. We'll let you go. Austin, where can people find you at?
Underclass Podcast. You guys know the definitely the Patreon is the best place to support me. But that's about it, guys. Go check out the new episode.
Make sure to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, 5-star review on iTunes, Spotify. Those are all things that help out me or Austin. Do it on both of our channels. We would love that. If you want to directly support the show, you can do that over at patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. The lowest level is $2. That's where you get access to early episodes. I do 1 to 2 paywalled episodes a week. Usually keep about 4 at a time behind the paywall. That gives you weeks of paywalled content. You also get an ad-free RSS feed, and you get priority for the call-ins, and you get access to the pre-show on this show today. Already did. And then also at the highest levels, my sponsors, I read them off every episode. It's a big thank you to them. I'm my former co-host of Tower Gang at Tower Gang Toad, also at Abrogate Ds, at ZOVRCK, at _ Zeal, Tim Tuttle, at John Klebold, saving that for posterity because I love him. Will Bell is Delicious Blueberry Rabbit Eye Wine, big fan of the show, Torn May, and then Jordan Pearson. With that, we are out of here. Deuces, everybody. We will see the patrons in the after show, or I guess the callers will stick around too. All right, see you. We're out of here.